Hello there and a very warm welcome once again to your Friday Talk Delight right here on LN 24/7. Emenike Agu is my name. Always a pleasure of bringing you this robust conversation we always have on matters affecting your country, my country, our fatherland, Nigeria. And we've been on a series in the last couple of weeks, and we are continuing looking at the 2027 general elections, and of course the series we tagged it The Gathering Clouds. Of course, you and I know that the political atmosphere has been tensed up in the past couple of weeks with so much happening, and we've been looking at the developments every week leading up to the 2027 general elections in the country. I tell you, it is a gathering cloud. And the cloud is really thickening all over, wherever and however you want to look at it. Welcome once again, and we have another interesting conversation for you on this occasion. Wherever you are watching us, our topic for this week is the 2027 general elections and the gathering clouds. It's much ado about the deregistration of political parties in Nigeria. Of course, you know that political atmosphere ahead of the 2027 elections became even thicker in the past couple of days with the court ruling instructing that some political parties be taken off the ballot paper. INEC should remove them as political parties in Nigeria, and they gave their reasons for that. And since then, it's been a whole lot of conversation in every nook and cranny of the country, Nigeria, and political stakeholders have been speaking and weighing in on that court ruling. That will be our focus on this occasion. And of course, you know that we do this conversation on guided on on talking points, and we shall be looking at Nigeria's political space as one of our talking points. Nigeria's political space as against the court rulings in the country. You will agree with us right here that the cloud is really thickening every week in, week out. There's always something about the Nigerian political space thickening the cloud, and I mean, heightening the tension, political tension in the land. All right? We shall also look at the deregistration of political parties, and the question we are asking, is it politicized right now in Nigeria, or is this call for deregistration of political parties truly constitutional? A very big question and a very vital question that we shall be attempting to answer right here on this occasion. And then our final talking point shall pin on 2027 general elections and the opposition. Of course, the cloud thickening is around the opposition to the incumbent APC, the All Progressive Congress in the land. And the issue we are looking at as a call to action is how to make the process more credible to Nigerians ahead of 2027 general elections. I welcome you once again to the State of the Nation. On this occasion, we are joined by an ebullient scholar, ebullient lawyer, a senior advocate of Nigeria, former second vice president of the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, and of course the former chairman, Nigerian Bar Association, Ikeja branch, that's in Lagos State, southwest of Nigeria. He is a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst. Barrister Dr. Monday Onyekachi Obani, senior advocate, I want to shorten it, SAN, joining us from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Hello, SAN. Great to have you on this program. Welcome. Can you hear us? Welcome to State of the Nation, Barrister Monday Obani, senior advocate. Wow, we see you, but we can't hear you. We're just going to take a break and see how we can fine-tune your audio so that you can hear us. You are watching State of the Nation. Stay with us. We will be right back with Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Monday Onyekachi Ubani in Abuja.
From Lagos to Lome, Port Harcourt to Accra, LN 24/7 delivers your brand across borders, TV, satellite, and online. We're where your customers are.
For them to, be seen or heard, they have to do something crazy.
Africa is watching. Let them watch you. LN 24/7. Where the story goes, we go.
LN 24/7 is first of all a news station.
We'll continue with updates from the just concluded governorship
in the Southeast has raised questions if INEC will be able to conduct elections.
With a core team of over 40 correspondents spread across Nigeria.
This is the Otedola Bridge, the famous Otedola Bridge.
We are not here to beg, but we are here to fight for our rights.
And affiliates in Africa, Europe, America, and Asia.
Under heavy security here in Lagos, Nigeria.
We give you news as it breaks from a perspective you can trust.
They told us that they are going to be here from 7 a.m. and they've been here since morning.
LN 24/7 News, where the story goes, we go.
At LN 24/7, we bring the news closer to you.
Is failing to protect Christian.
And from Nigeria we go to Kenya, where President William Ruto.
It was powerful all over the world.
Local and international news every hour, every day. And the deal was struck.
Here on LN 24/7. The eyes of it.
Let's look at the key drivers.
LN 24/7, where the story goes, we go.
All right, great to have you back. And on this occasion, we are looking at the 2027, continuing in our Gathering Cloud series. Much ado about deregistration of political parties. And we've been trying to tidy up our audio connectivity with our guest in Abuja. 2027 and the Gathering Cloud. That's our focus. But while we tidy up his audio, let's give you some background details that will inform the conversation we are going to have with Barrister Monday Onyekachi Ubani, right here, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. And I'm told that we have him back here. All right. Great to have you back, SAN, Monday, Dr. Monday Onyekachi Ubani in Abuja. Welcome to State of the Nation. Yeah. Can you hear us now?
Yes, I'm hearing you, but I don't know whether you are hearing me.
Fantastic. We hear you loud and clear. Welcome. Welcome. All right. Barrister Dr. Monday Onyekachi Ubani, we told you, is a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst. He is the former second vice president of the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, and of course also the former chairman of the NBA Ikeja branch in Lagos State. We are happy to have you join this conversation on the Gathering Clouds ahead of 2027 from Abuja. All right. Barrister, just before you give your opening background comment, I want to give a background that will form like a prelude to the conversation we are going to have. That's talking about the Nigeria's political atmosphere ahead of the 2027 general elections. And I say that the cloud is already very thick with tension. I don't know if you will agree with me. I'm speaking particularly the recent Federal High Court ruling in Abuja by Justice Peter Lifu, ordering the Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, to deregister the African Democratic Congress, ADC, the Accord Party, Action Alliance Party, AA, Action People's Party, APP, and the Zenith Labour Party, ZLP. It has really ignited fierce debate. Now, the court held that these parties failed to meet the performance thresholds under Section 225A of the 1999 Constitution as amended and the Electoral Act 2022. Essentially, they did not secure sufficient votes to win enough seats in the prior elections to justify continued registration. Opposition figures, also including the ADC National Chairman, Senator David Mark, and others, have decried the move as an assault on multi-party democracy, warning of a slide towards a one-party state. The Court of Appeal has since granted a stay of execution, providing temporary relief and buying time for appeals. Now, the legal and the constitutional backdrop, INEC has registered parties before. I give you, as we go on, in 2020, they removed dozens of similar failures after 2019 election, and the Supreme Court largely upheld that action. Section 225A empowers INEC to deregister parties that breach registration requirements or failure to achieve minimal electoral benchmarks, such as winning a certain percentage of votes in states or securing seats. Let's stop the background there and welcome you into this conversation. SAN, we have been following developments in Nigeria, especially in the political atmosphere. When you hear LN 24/7 say things like the gathering cloud ahead of 2027 general elections, what comes to your mind? What happens to your mind with this kind of topic? All right, so I'm asking, what's your take on this topic? Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. SAN, hello. All right. I think it's an internet challenge there. SAN, we hear you loud and clear. If you can hear us. Yes, go ahead. We can hear you now.
The Justice Lifu's case. Yes. Are you here?
So I was welcoming you to the program, and I said, we have been running a series on the gathering clouds ahead of 2027 general elections. And now we are looking at the court ruling versus INEC, and the court ruling says that some parties will be deregistered. When you hear things like the gathering cloud right here on this program, what crosses your mind?
My mind is that we are nearing the election of 2027. Of course, there is always political tension whenever election is coming up in Nigeria. And the problem with Nigerian political scene is that there is so much aggression
Wow, the audio really is a challenge here. The engineers at the back end are really working on it. And please bring back Barrister Obani. We want to hear him. All right, we've been speaking with SAN, Monday Obani, who joined us live from Abuja. And we are looking at the political space in Nigeria and, of course, the court rulings. And then looking at the registration of political parties. Is it politicized? Barrister Obani will be helping us, make sense of all these talking points. We are glad to have you back. We are glad to have you back. Please go ahead, sir. Hello?
Yeah, if this conversation will not, I would like maybe phone so that we can be able to communicate. I say, if this one will not continue, we can do it with phone. And I can put my picture there and then I will be indicator and all that so that the audience can hear me. That the audience will like this interruption with our system and all that. What I mean. We can do, I can talk on phone and communicate.
Yeah, we are good with the audio now. Please go ahead. Yeah, we are very good with the audio now. Just continue from where you stopped.
Yeah, what I was saying is that there is so much competition in Nigerian political scene. Anytime election is, coming near, and this particular one is not different, and why is this so? Is that there is so much desperation for public office, and why is that desperation? Is because of what is available when they get into office. There is no proper checks and balances in the system. So anyone that comes in takes so much out of the entire system. So desperation is there, tension is very high, quarrels and all manner of things are done in order to grab power. I think that the judiciary, that's supposed to be a role that is actually conciliatory, reconciliate, ensuring that the proper thing is done, that when anyone else, it is the judiciary that will tell you that there's something wrong, and they bring everything to order, create some level of sanity and coherence in the system. But problems are being compounded by some of the decisions of the court, which some of the ones you mentioned, like the one that ordered INEC to register, some political parties. When those political parties have submitted names of their candidate for election, especially the election that is taking place tomorrow, and then you now say you have to register them and all that. So there is tension, no doubt, and that tension stems out of the fact that there is so much desperation for public office. And it's expected to happen in the political system and scene. But it doesn't happen like that in the advanced societies, where people who actually come to politics may enter into politics richer, but come out because the system monitoring appropriately how accumulate necessary wealth. But here go into politics and become something else, overnight. So that leads to desperation. So it's desperation that raises the important tension.
Observers of the Nigerian political scene seem a little worried about the way things are unfolding. And you also spoke about the judiciary. There's been like a trust issue here, both on the judiciary and INEC. Structurally, it's really disturbing. I don't know if I'll be correct to make that statement. Are you with me? Are you with me, sir? Okay. I'm saying that stakeholders in the political atmosphere of Nigeria. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead if you hear me.
I'm hearing you.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, SAN.
Yeah. No, continue the question. Continue the conversation.
Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. We have been following developments, and stakeholders in the political space of Nigeria are really worried about the trust issue, the trust element, and hinging on the umpire INEC, and of course the judiciary. Right now in Nigeria, a lot of Nigerians believe that electoral process have been captured and their votes really do not count. After all, the Supreme Court is there to upturn, or give judgment to who it favors and all of that. And then INEC hasn't really won the trust of Nigerians when it comes to electoral process ahead of 2027. And we thought that this is part of the cloud that really needs to dissipate for Nigerians to come out and play their role actively come 2027. So I was asking, would I be right to make those assertions concerning judiciary and INEC?
There is a trust issue, no doubt. I will not be here and be lying that there is no trust issue concerning those two institutions you mentioned. With INEC, it's supposed to be an umpire that is independent. The Constitution guarantees is independent. The same thing with our judicial system. It's supposed to be independent. But over time, there has been this allegation against INEC. But one thing I want to say about INEC is that they just changed leadership recently. And the man that is there, I think tomorrow will be the first test in terms of election. The other one that took place when he came in was only a few days before election. The structure was already in place. So the one that is taking place tomorrow will be his first test as the chairman of INEC, to see how fair, to see how free and the election is going to be. That will be a reflection on his leadership. And so maybe over time, we may want to repose confidence once again on INEC. What INEC did recently, especially with this case of Accord Party and ADC, by appealing that case and by even filing a counter affidavit, shows that it may have made an initial error. They're trying to recover themselves. And they want to now, probably deal with Nigerians, in a manner that shows that they obey rule of law and they want to follow the Constitution and Electoral Act and give Nigeria free, fair, and credible election. I want to resolve the doubt in their favor and say, please give them that reasonable trust and see what will come out of the subsequent election, including 2027 election. Now, for the judiciary, yes, the good news about the judiciary is that it has a corrective mechanism. Even if the lower court gives a wrong decision, you can go on appeal to Court of Appeal and to Supreme Court. And there's no way you pass through those ladder without actually getting justice. So the corrective measures are there. And so I will employ Nigerians to actually repose confidence and encourage Nigerians to come out and vote. And they should be sure in order to also defend their vote and ensure that their vote counts. That's all I want to say. I don't want a situation where people will become lethargy towards electoral issues and then sit down in their homes without coming out to carry out their civic responsibility that the law has imposed upon them. We must come out, we must vote for leaders of our choice and defend the vote and ensure that our vote counts. That's all I would say. And then let's wait for those institutions also that the law has created to perform their duty, INEC and judiciary, in order to ensure credibility in our electoral process. That's all I want to say.
Indeed, indeed. SAN, part of the very worrisome comments this incumbent government have made is part of the gathering cloud that is casting doubt on both the judiciary and INEC. I don't know how you look at it. Let me give you one of those comments. Nigerians are quick to always refer to it. If you are not satisfied, go to court. I mean, Nigerians have always believed that the court should be a place where the common man can put his hope. But over time, Nigerians are beginning to think otherwise. I don't know what your take is on such comments. You just spoke about Nigerians coming out to perform their civic responsibilities. And we are also here sensitizing Nigerians. The essence of this conversation is to make it clearer for Nigerians, for our guests. You are the senior advocate of Nigeria. Part of why we have you on this program is to help Nigerians make sense of the pathway of the process, so that Nigerians can comfortably come out in 2027, cast their votes, and also believe that their votes can count. So how do you react to such comments? If you don't like it, go to court. And Nigerians tell you that there is no need going to court because they already anticipate, I like to use that language, anticipate the outcome of going to that court.
Yes, I don't know which of the political party it can be ascribed as the owner of that particular statement, because I think it's a statement that are made by politicians, could be made even by those in opposition who feel, probably they have won the election and then they are asking the opponent, if you are not satisfied with the electoral process outcome, go to court. The truth of the matter is that when your opponent asks you to go to court, that is the only place you can go and resolve electoral as provided by the Electoral Act. There is no other institution that handles, adjudication, on disputing parties about the electoral outcome. So it is the right place. But the point is that the judiciary must be made to understand that onerous responsibility that has been placed upon them. Like if people are saying go to court, it means that the only place of safety, the only place where justice can be obtained is the court. The court should be able to make a very solid look at issues. And then don't give judgment in favor of a rich man against a poor party. Don't give judgment against a political party because you love them or because they're in power or they're in opposition. No. You will look at justice and make out justice to whosoever deserves it. So that confidence will be. So for me, if somebody asks me to go to court, yes, the only place I can go and act within lawful means and lawful ways and paths is the court. The only alternative for me to connive and go on and begin to take laws into my hand, which the law prohibits. So go to court is an advice that should be taken, with good heart. But it is important that the place you are asking somebody to go must be a sanctuary of justice. And so that's why the judges must know their responsibility. That is very onerous. It's only judges, apart from the Almighty God, that can pronounce life and death of an individual. So anyone that occupies that position is a very big responsibility. And what you need to do is to make sure that you give justice. But the moment you are not giving justice, of course, there is condemnation for those who sell justice. And of course, at the end of the day, you all stand before the Almighty God to give account of what we have done, even with the road that the society has given us to play. So I am saying there is nothing wrong in asking somebody to go to court. And that's the best place you should go. But then there must be confidence in that place I'm going to. There must be justice waiting for me at that place I'm going to. If I am right, then the court should tell me I'm right. If I'm wrong, the court should be bold enough also to tell me that I'm wrong. So that independence of judiciary, the integrity of the judicial system is very key. So to really summarize what this is all about, if any person asks you to go to court, it's asking you to do something that is a lawful thing. But it's important that that institution understand the onerous responsibility when people say you, and in order to, because that is the only place where justice should be dispensed and no other place. So that's my understanding of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. Let's then delve into the second talking point, which actually is on deregistration of political parties. The question here is it being politicized? From the perspective of Nigerians, they think this whole exercise is politically minded, or is it truly constitutional?
Yeah, it is a constitutional provision. Yeah, look at section 225A of the fourth, I think it's fourth, the fourth alteration. It was done in 2017 when President Buhari was the president then. He was the one that signed that constitutional provision that says that INEC is given power. INEC shall have power to deregister. Just as INEC also have power to register, he also was given power to deregister. But there is a constitutional threshold for that registration. If you do not meet a level of certain basic performance during an election, or you do not, have persons elected in two offices under your political platform, their constitutional provision says that INEC shall have power to deregister you. And so one would have expected that it was after 2023 election that INEC would have evaluated those political parties and know those that did not meet that basic constitutional threshold, and then deregister them. Because INEC power to deregister has been affirmed by the Supreme Court. It's there, the judgment is there. The Supreme Court says it's only INEC that can, and they have that power to do all that. So, but you waited since 2023, and now we are now in 2026, leading to election in 2027. Political parties have done their primaries, and they have September within which to submit names. Some may have submitted names to INEC. Some are even ready to participate in off-cycle election. So the next thing that you saw is one group, calling themselves former legislators now, coming to maybe sanitize the political parties in Nigeria, register, ensuring that those who are alive should be alive, those who die should die. But I don't think they follow the normal procedure. The normal procedure, let's assume they want to use writ of mandamus that mandate a public institution to perform a duty under the Constitution, and they feel that INEC has not performed that duty. You have to write to INEC, seeking INEC's attention to a constitutional power that has been given to them, and say you have not been able to, and then get a response. If they now say they were not going to perform that duty, the next thing you go to court. Now, in getting to court, you must also deal with the issue of locus. What is your interest? What personal injury have you suffered? Because that is legal jurisprudence on public interest litigation. And it was established in Abraham Adesanya versus the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Has been reaffirmed by several Supreme Court cases that you must establish strict personal injury. It's a strict interpretation of the principle of local standard. If you are not able to satisfy it, you cannot have access. The court will deny you access at entrance before they even begin to probably look at the merits of your case. And so they have to satisfy all that and say, this is the reason why. And then the court, after they examine what your facts are and feel that INEC ought to, then they will now ask INEC, yes, we are asking you, because it's a duty you have to do, you are the one to do all that, So INEC will do that. But in this case, I understand that INEC filed a counter affidavit and said they have carried out their own administrative evaluation of those political parties and their own findings that those parties were not in breach. That suffices, because it is that responsibility, the constitutional responsibility of INEC. No other body should do that responsibility. So in their power, they have examined that those parties were not in breach, and they have said so. So it is very wrong then for any other institution to now substitute his own idea to that of decision of INEC over a matter that he has exclusive right by the provisions of the Constitution. So these are the things that has happened. So to me, doing it now in 2026, I don't know how why were you doing all this while that you didn't do it after the election, when you could have evaluated the normal threshold that the constitutional provision has made, or you haven't made some requirement in terms of performance, in terms of elective offices and all that, and then you register them, and it's constitutional, and nobody can, if anyone goes to court to query it, INEC will say this is the reason why because you didn't meet this and all that. There's no sentiment about it. But doing it now when it is towards election, and then INEC has come to say they are not in breach. So what would be the duty of any other institution now to come and say, this is what should be done and all that. So that is the problem with that particular issue. But I know that the Court of Appeal will look at it and still make that correction.
All right, just before we move on to the Court of Appeal, here is the, common belief around the country. When you look at the figures involved, I don't know what you make of it as a senior advocate in Nigeria. Nigerians think that this whole process of deregistering parties have been politicized to a large extent, especially when you look at the figures involved. Let's take, for instance, the African Democratic Congress, the ADC, where the former Vice President, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, is a key figure there. And before now, we've been talking about opposition and the battle between opposition and the ruling party. Of course, also the area like weakening opposition in Nigeria. And then Nigerians are saying that the timing, just as you have also spoken, for this whole exercise leading to court saying deregister these parties, is to disenfranchise some candidates and Nigerians, and then also to remove some candidates from the ballot box. That is a direct attack on the opposition in Nigeria. What do you say to that,
You know, I'm a lawyer. I'm a lawyer. I deal with facts. I don't want to speculate. And anytime I'm being called upon as a lawyer, I will talk as a lawyer. If I don't have any facts, to defend, in terms of making any allegation, I won't make that. I have said it. You hear me say. I said it that look, why this time? You would have done that earlier before now. So whether article is made this year or not, I may not want to go into that. No, because I don't know who is politicized. Is it the judiciary now? But the most important thing, my brother, and I've said it, and I'm so happy with INEC, the body that's supposed to do that responsibility, the umpire that's supposed to be unbiased, has come out to say these parties are not in breach. So that exculpates, if you ask me, the executive. If you want to believe maybe INEC is tied to the executive, the same executive now has come to counter that particular decision. So it is another arm of government that wanted to probably be overzealous in doing the responsibility of the body that is vested with that. So I won't stay here and accuse any person of trying to kill opposition. I am very happy that INEC really proved their mettle and showed neutrality and independence in their judgment in what they did with regards to this present case by saying, this is our findings. These parties are not in breach. And when that judgment came, INEC timelessly appealed and then asked for stay of execution. So to me, I wouldn't want to say, be in the realm of speculation, abuse, and call names. There are some people, when they come on television, people hail them because they call people in government names and call everyone and abuse them. No, at this level of my life, I should be matured in my approach towards these issues and look at them very realistically and honestly. And also, more importantly, and say the right thing. If there is issue, I have issue with timing, and I've said it. I don't know who is behind that. I have said it. I'm also against the judge substituting his own intention to that of INEC, which has given a very positive recommendation of those political parties. So that's all I want to say. I don't go into the realm of political speculation and all that, because that will not be within my area of competence as a lawyer. Thank you.
Absolutely. As a public affairs commentator, as a Nigerian who also is keeping close tab on developments in the political space, what would be your take on the place of opposition parties in Nigeria? Perhaps I say opposition, talking about strong democracy and the place of opposition. What would you say about that? Opposition in Nigerian political space?
The opposition parties in Nigeria, they are not as strong as one would expect them to be. And there is no democracy that actually survives without opposition. There must be an opposition, especially, where you feel that the party that is in power is not doing it rightly. You should provide alternative idea, and you do it in a very constructive manner. I remember vividly when Dr. Alex Oti of Abia State was contested in 2015, 2019, before he now eventually won in 2023. He remained very consistent in providing alternative ideas on how governance should be in Abia State. He had a template, and that is what, why you see what he's doing. Immediately he came in, within 2 years, he was able to establish his footprint, in Abia, because he had an idea of what but I don't see this opposition, presently, as really have an idea of what they can do in order to fix the economy, the political system, the differences and all that. Most of them they were all in politics before, and they will help wreck Nigeria. I don't want to call names. Almost all of them that have gathered now want to take over power and all that. They all have one history of the other. And you don't see that there are things that are, you consider that things that they have done that's so fantastic that we want you to. Apart from maybe one person there, I don't see any of them others who have gathered together today to grab power, whether they're going to use that power for the interest of the people. They are all bourgeoisies. They are all super rich and capitalists who have made so much money and have not affected the life of individual Nigerians who are very poor. So I don't believe they can change anything. As I said earlier, if there is any person one would believe in it, maybe one person. All others are just to grab power. But then, you must be organization. You must have strategy and organization to win an election. Election is not won on Facebook. Election is not won on Twitter. Election is won at the polling unit. How many people do you have at your polling unit that those who will stand for you during the election and all that? You can't be in Abuja and Lagos, canvassing and talking on this and all that, and you think you can win election without getting to the grassroots. And that's the difference. The political party that is in power is very strategic. They have all polling units. They have people who can affect, make sure that they get their votes. So the opposition needs to be a bit more strategic, if they want to. Look at what happened in Abuja during the last election, the FCT election and all that. The opposition, they all came together, but they all had their selfish interest. But they were not able to grab power. They were not able to make any difference. They all came together. All the opposition came together. I'm not talking about this now. That too. And they couldn't make any difference. The political party is because the election is won at the polling unit. You have to be more strategic. You have to be, there are things you need to do to win election. It's not won on Facebook. It's not won on Twitter. Those people that make noise on Twitter, most of them don't have their PVCs and all that. Even now, as registration continues, the voters' registration is going on all over the country. Most of them don't, invest. Because you need to invest to have people register. When you make them to register, when the election time comes, they will vote for you. I follow me. I went home recently. There was this continuous, INEC, we are the one who arrange INEC, we are the one who make sure that they are taking care of, their logistics and all that, because I want people to vote for a candidate of my choice. So I invested. I made people came out and registered. And I was taking number of those who are registered and all that. The same thing we did when we did e-registration for political parties. I went back home and I participated and I made people come out. To the extent that I even gave food to those that came to register. I made them very comfortable. So because when the time comes, you'll be able to tell them where to go. So I don't see it in the opposition. I'm just telling you. I just came back. I didn't see all those opposition parties in my own ward, in my own unit, coming to make any decision. So where are you getting the votes? On the social media? So I don't know. I've said much.
SAN, there are two more disturbing aspects of this gathering cloud that I want to share with you. First is the multiplicity of political parties in Nigeria, and then later on you come and deregister them. My concern here, and representing concern of many Nigerians, why the need for the multiple parties in Nigeria that cannot win a word? And now when you say deregister, then it becomes an issue. Why set up multiple parties in Nigeria in the first place?
A very intelligent question. We operate a multi-party system. If a party applies.
But as many as 18, 16, I'm just wondering.
No, my brother, the law, your constitution allows you free association. You are right to join any association of your choice. And so what the law did was to make a provision for you to be registered. So if you do not meet that legal requirement for registration, INEC will not register you. But if you meet that threshold as prescribed by the law, they have a right to register you. And if they fail to register you, they have the right to go to court and present the fact that you stated in your law that this is a requirement for my registration, and I've made the law. Why are you not registering me? The court, after evaluation, looking that all those points have been made, will ask INEC to register them. And INEC will evaluate and say, yes, they have made. So, A, you tick. B, you tick. Because there are requirements. So when it also is time for deregistration, INEC also will have the right to tick this one, or say 000, and then deregister. So if those parties meet the requirement, an election is held, and they do not satisfy the threshold for them to remain alive, you kill them. That is what the law says. So that means that INEC must do its duty. If the INEC perform its duty, then we may not have all those long lists of political parties who are not relevant, because their relevance is tested in electoral fraud in the election. If they cannot be able to meet the basic requirement for them to exist, you kill them, you take them off. That's what the law says. So that's where I think because it's multi-party system, we're operating. So if a party has met the requirement for registration, why are they registered them? If also they have failed to meet the requirement for them to leave, kill them.
And do you subscribe to the multiple parties existing now in Nigeria, or should it be streamlined, or should it be cut down to a sizable, perhaps regional or whatever that could make for a more active participation of Nigerians across the region? Across the region. The law.
Put it in the constitution. Put it in the constitution and say that the parties in Nigeria should only be 4 or 5. Put it in the constitution. If you put it in the constitution, then if some agencies, so it's going to be a clash of provision of constitution and the fundamental human right. So whichever one came last, will supersede. So I'm saying the only way to do that is the law, the legal framework. But if you go and put it on by act of National Assembly, they run into problem because they will tell you that the constitution is supreme. The one that allows for freedom of association, they will use it to validate any provision of the act of amendment to reduce the number of political parties. So the best thing is to put it in the constitution by constitutional amendment, alteration, that the number of political parties in Nigeria should either be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Then it then means that when you constitutionalize it, it will be very difficult to be validated by any litigant.
Let's begin to wind down this conversation. It's really been insightful listening to a senior advocate of Nigeria weigh in on these issues that have been, pervading the political space ahead of 2027. Let's begin to wind down on this conversation. There's this fear from the look of things that Nigeria is headed to a one-party state. What's your take?
When you are the one complaining now that there are so many political parties. You just said it now, there are so many political parties. So how is it heading to one party state?
Yeah, because you also recognize the weakness of opposition. And you've seen carpet crossing into the ruling parties, including the governors recently.
Because you want me to assign blame, that's what you want to do in this particular discussion. I'm not going to assign blame to it. If there is a situation where one political party is now occupying the space, then the opposition must be strategic. You know how APC came to power, you know it now. PDP was so powerful in 2010, leading to 2015 election. But remember that the opposition came together and was strategic, and there's something they did that made everyone to gravitate towards APC. We thought that APC, that time, under Buhari, we do a lot of things that they promised and others. So all of us, I was one of those all over, because I saw the combination of Buhari, the late Buhari, and Oshibajo, and the person that can have, with Oshibajo in the background as a VP, I felt that the change we all we wanted and clamoring for had come. We were there. We were very aggressive. There is no station I did not go. There is no television house. There is no radio station. There is no paper I did not write propagating that change, because I believe that Nigeria will survive. That Nigeria is one of the best countries in the world. What we lack is good leadership, and when we get it right, everything will fall in line. So I did all that with good intention. Not that I hated President Anata. No, I felt that we could get it better, from the way these people came with the presentation. So and they got the power. They got it, without much fight. In 2015, it was landslide. We're all there. We defended the vote. In 2000, I remember I voted in Lagos before I now changed my voting constituency to my state and to my own local and to my village. That was the last time I voted in Nigeria in Lagos, because I felt that charity begins at home. Go and put your house in order. You can't be talking about national issue while your state is in shambles, and that's why we went. And we effected the change in Abia, and I'm happy that I was part of that process. And what is happening in Abia today, it is to the glory of God, because some people sat down and said we must change the narratives. We can also change narrative anywhere. It's about the people. So opposition must be strategic. If they want to grab power from this present political party, what I'm saying, I'm not seeing any opposition. I am not seeing any opposition. I'm just telling you.
All right. It gives us quite a lot to talk about in the days ahead as we continue to build towards 2027. Thank you so much, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Monday Onyekachi Obani, weighing in on all these weighty issues. I will just give you room, to make your final shot on the program before we go, looking at what will make 2027 more credible.
Yeah, thank you for discovering me once again. I used to be a very regular guest in your television. So when you called me yesterday and say, Mr. Barry, I remember you very well. Thank you. My brother, we can get it right. There is no other country that we have other than this country. Beautiful country. Look at those who are driven from South Africa. When they arrive here, there's nothing like home. There's nothing like where you come from, right? And so we can make this country better. Let's Nigerians all unite. And let's not those things that divide us, tribe and religion and all that, let's put them aside. Have one common interest, Nigeria, and work for Nigeria. Nigeria is a beautiful country, sir. There is no country as beautiful as Nigeria in terms of weather, food. You see the human beings, we love each other. So when we come together to really build this country for our children and for our children's children, I mean, you find out that it's a country that nobody will ever joke with. So you and I have a role. I'm a lawyer, you are a journalist. Play your role as a journalist. I play mine as a lawyer. Let judges play their role. Let the carpenter, let the accountant, let auditors of the federation, auditor at the states, all play their role. We have a country to protect. We have a country to love. We have a country to defend. And we have a country to live in and survive and be the best in the world. That is my little advice.
100%. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful time, having this conversation with the former second vice president of the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, Dr. Monday Onyekachi Obani, who also happened to have also been the former chairman of the NBA Ikeja branch. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. We will bring you back, in the days ahead. There is so much you have given, to our viewers and so much you have given out on this topic. God bless you. God bless you. All right, that's the size of the program and the conversation on this occasion. We had a one-man panel. You know our tradition here, but this is a special occasion, a one-man panel. Senior Advocate Monday Onyekachi Obani. Emenike Agu is my name. Thank you so much for watching. We'll do it again same time next week when we bring you another interesting conversation on the state of your country, my country, Nigeria. Keep watching LN 24/7 wherever you are. The conversation does not end here in the studio. It continues across all our social media handles. And of course, you can get the bigger picture on our content hub, www.ln247.news. Do have yourself a super weekend, and we'll see you again same time next week. Bye for now.
Stay up to date with LN 24/7. LN 24/7. With news, politics, business.